it's supposed to feel.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the North Shore 9 postgame show, a very rare postgame show where the Pirates actually win a baseball game 7-5. Unfortunately, Cody is dealing with some technical difficulties, so it looks like I'll be riding solo today. But yeah, Pirates win 7-5. First win since the All-Star break, our third win in July, and it was really needed. um, it's been a really rough go with things. Just today was looking like it was going to be exactly what we've been watching for the entire month of July. A bunch of runs given up, no offense. But finally, for the first time in 10 games, the Pirates have scored more than 4 runs. And so, yeah, it feels good. And I think that, if you're going to have someone kind of help come stable as a ship, you got to have it from guys like Rich Hill. And Rich Hill wasn't great today, but he did his job. 5 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, only 1 strikeout at 100 pitches. But he did his job, and I don't think it was really fair on him to give up 4 runs. He got hit hard, but Rich Hill always gets hit hard. Jack Suwinski drops a ball in center field, 2 runs score. It's hard to really put that on him. He got the outs needed, and it didn't work. But, I think the biggest thing for me, at least, was his attitude, where he's in the dugout, he's mad, he's fired up, he's not happy. And it really just feels like there's a lack of that amongst the team, where guys simply do not seem to get bothered by losing. We all know Brian Reynolds looks bored all the time. But, you expect a little bit of emotion from guys like Carlos Santana or Connor Joe or Austin Hedges, guys, or G-Man Choi, guys who have been here and been in the majors for a long time. You would think that, there would be some level of caring. And so the fact that you can see that, and I know some people don't like that style from Rich Hill. I get it. It can't be abrasive. It can't be nonsense. It can be, well, why doesn't he just pitch better? But the Pirates desperately need guys who are going to yell and get mad and get it, because when you're losing, and you're losing as badly as we have, you need some guys there to help ride the ship out or right the ship. And so I think Rich Hill's gone in 12 days, 2 weeks or so when the trade deadline happens, but I really hope he isn't. Just because the alternative right now is Cam Allard or you could go with Rodonzi Contreras or Luis Ortiz. But if you sent them down, you need them to make sure that they're right before they come back up. And we don't have any starters. We're still giving starts to Osvaldo Bido. And so I think Rich Hill really needs to stay this season, because you're not getting a Quintana return for Rich Hill. His numbers aren't nearly as good. He's 43, and he's a rental. So you might as well just keep him, because I see a Tyler Anderson-style return where the headliner was Carter Binns, which isn't good. So, I like Rich Hill for what he is. But I think the big news today was that the offense finally woke up. Now, it was looking really bad for the first 3 innings, 4 innings or so. Shutout, no real hits, a lot of weak contact. But things started turning around. We'd chip away. We get 2 runs in the 5th inning. 4-2, and you're still kind of well, we lost our chance. Brian Reynolds grounds out. Another rough day for him. But, you think, yeah, that's game over. And then the 7th inning comes around and 5 runs score. And I know I tweeted this out, but I love G-Man Choi. He's not even a great baseball player. Like, objectively, like, he's fine. He's like a league average baseball player. But he is an MLB baseball player, and he comes through with stuff like that. It's like he comes through with a really clutch two RBI single, gives the Pirates the lead when we have been abysmal in front of the position. And I think we have Cody. Hello.
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 Am I here?
Yes, you are.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry to interrupt your fantastic monologue, but I was supposed to be here, so I'm here. But continue. We'll get into everything else later. You continue.
No, what do you think about G-Man Choi?
I'm a huge G-Man Choi fan. I have a lot to say about this game. That's why I was like panicking once all my gear decided not to work. I'm like, I got a lot to say. But let's start with G-Man Choi. G-Man Choi, and I've been saying this as a joke amongst all of us in North Shore 9, that this team was missing G-Man Choi. This is the key. And it is still kind of a joke. But at the same time, to what you were saying is, when you have that average, good MLB player, it makes all the garbage that we have on this lineup look great. Like, it's suitable. So I love having G-Man Choi. He brings a bit of a spark. I don't think, just the way that things happen this season, I don't think anything's working out how Charrington wanted it to. I think he saw G-Man Choi as a guy that could be a mentor to Ji-Won Bae. And then you have the injury that happens to Choi. He's not able to be there to coach up Bae. Bae flounders. And we're not even talking about today's game at this point. Yeah. But those are my thoughts on G-Man Choi.
Maybe
the bats today were great, though.
Maybe G-Man Choi can give Bae some relationship advice too, but who knows?
Yeah.
But so no, he was great today. Also walked, like, he only is hitting 182, and he's probably gone in 2 weeks too, don't you think? Like, I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine he sticks around, but I hope he does.
I feel like they would want Choi to. I don't know. It's a tough situation. I think I talked about this the last time I did a post game. Like, you have Choi and Santana. You want to try and keep at least one of those guys and give them an extension in the offseason. Right now, it really seems like I'm getting this feeling, at least, that Santana is going to be the guy we deal, and then we're going to keep Choi because we haven't seen everything from Choi. He's been hurt.
See, and I think they're going to keep Santana around because there's always
hope
that emphasis on like locker room presence. I'm not sure how much I buy it, since he looks about as disinterested as Brian Reynolds does during games.
He was the guy. He was the team leader for a good 3 month, and then he saw how bad it was getting, and he was like, "I'm gonna back away." That's what it seemed like.
Well, yeah, it is crazy how like cancerous this organization can be, where you're bringing good guys and you just kind of suck the joy out of them. Because like I think Kutch was on the record saying like, "Hey, at least we're not the Athletics." I think that was like his response. I'm like,
pretty much.
That's not good.
He didn't say it outright, but he basically said
like, you guys have been out hit by the Athletics since May. Like, this is not something to be proud of.
Right.
But yeah. I mean, Carlos Santana didn't really have a great day either.
No, I mean,
he did walk.
He drew the walk,
which was
helped.
Important. But he's been.
I'm sorry. I know I got in here late. It's my fault. But I want to talk about Rich Hill.
All right, let's
go.
I
know
you
talked about Rich Hill.
Yeah.
So I was torn on this, actually. I like that he's firing the guys up, right? I like that he's that presence, because we know none of the coaches want to do it because they all know they suck too.
Yeah, that's correct.
Deep down, those guys know, I'm in over my head. Andy Haynes is like, I'm in over my head. I don't know. Hey, Shelty, where are your little bat things to show people where to get contact on the ball?
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing that's absurd, that I just put 2 and 2 together. I was like, wait, Shelton was a hitting coach for Cleveland, the last time they were good, or maybe before they went to the World
And
Series.
he was a
forever.
hitting coach for the Rays.
And he was a hitting coach for the Rays,
Mm-hmm.
who are a good team, and were a good team when he was there, at least decent. And then you got Andy Haynes, and so you got 2 hitting coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Can't figure out how to get these guys good. But I digress on that point. My point being with Rich Hill, I like that he's trying to light a fire under these guys, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think he's holding himself accountable, because he's yelling like F this, F that.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like, dude, you could be doing better too.
Well,
like, what?
I feel like he yells at himself on the mound plenty. Like, I don't know. Like, I think there was like last start where like he's like punching stuff in the dugout. Like, he's definitely like pissed off at himself.
But that's the thing, is like, you can be pissed off at yourself all you want.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you got to stop being mad at yourself and start like looking inward and being like, all right, what should I change? And I mean, they talked about it for the first half of the broadcast today, that he added the split finger fastball or changeup.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, make it work. I like,
Well, I mean,
once that starts to work, I'll give you a little bit of leeway. But
like
he's
I said,
just not playing well.
I don't even know if I can blame most of the runs today on Hill, though.
And that's the other thing that sucks.
Like, Jack Suwinski just can't field center field, and that's not his fault. He's a corner outfielder being put in center field.
I 1,000% agree.
But so, like, today I think he was actually pretty good. He just got horribly unlucky. Jack Suwinski drops the ball. He also gets a terrible jump on the first run of the game, and Cleveland scores on what should have been a nice, easy fly ball.
Yeah.
Like, I see what you mean, because he hasn't been all that good.
Right.
Like, even if you get all the runs back and he only gives up 1 run today through 6 or whatever, he still hasn't been good recently.
I mean, I want to go
no
back.
One has.
I mean, you're saying like, oh, you can't blame it all on him, but I want to go back to what you said before I jumped on.
Yeah.
He threw almost 100 pitches and only had 1 strikeout. You're not helping yourself at that point.
No, but he's also facing the team that strikes out the least in baseball.
Okay. Give him an excuse, I guess.
I mean, no, that's what Cleveland does, and that's what made like the last 2 games so frustrating. Is like Cleveland sacrifices power for all-out contact. They don't strike out. That's the profile they try to acquire, get into their system, and that's what sucks to see. Bo Naylor and Josh Bell just hit home runs all around the park, is because they're not a power hitting team. They're the slap hitting, don't strike out guys. So. But Hill hasn't been good, and he should get more than 1 strikeout. He's been in this league too long not to.
Exactly, and I mean,
but
it's been talked about how he gets leeway to do whatever he wants on the mound. Like you'll see his arm movements all over the place, and it's like at some point you got to be like, okay, I got to pick something.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's trying to like be unpredictable on the mound.
Well,
sometimes being unpredictable for yourself causes problems.
Yeah, I guess what I would say to that is, because he throws the ball so softly, that's his way of tricking the batter. Right. And it's not always going to work, because eventually he is going to leave an 87-mile-an-hour curve slider right down the heart of the plate. But I think when you take Rich Hill in a vacuum, that's just what he's going to be. He's going to be that reliable back-end starter who is going to eat innings.
Right.
And I think that's what made him so valuable when we were winning games, is that he didn't always have the best starts. Like, he would sometimes go 6 or 7 innings and give up 4 runs, but it would save the bullpen. And we've seen what happens when the bullpen has to carry the load. It's not a pretty sight.
Yeah, it sucks. The bullpen's not great, right? Mm-hmm. But I do think, I may be very alone on this, but we have bright spots in the bullpen. And if we can keep that core of guys, like obviously Bednar.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you never know what's going to happen with Bednar. We might trade him.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you have Holderman and you have Moretta. If you can keep those guys, those are the 2 that I say are solid.
I'll extend
both still young.
I'll extend it to Wadzinski.
He's getting there.
I'm pretty comfortable with him in the pen. I think I said that yesterday. Yeah. But yeah, like the bullpen is not a lost cause, but it speaks volumes to how stretched we are that Ryan Barucki's out there giving up a home run to Josh Bell in the 7th inning because we don't have. We burned Johan Ramirez for the past 3 days.
Right.
I don't know who else we could have gone to, but I mean,
That's
Ryan Barrecki should not be getting any innings in the 7th inning when it's not a blowout.
Right, and that's the issue is we only have those couple of core guys in the bullpen, and it's great to have those guys when you need them. Like Moretta, I just had this lineup today. Moretta played great. He only had to get one out, but he did it efficiently.
No, the Moretta
Holderman comes in, gets 2 outs himself, and only gives up 1 hit.
The Moretta get was great. I have absolutely zero problems with Dari Moretta being on this roster for a long term.
Right.
Like he's a one-pitch guy, but like
he was a surprise.
Yeah, no
one expected it.
And he, I kind of see like an Osvaldo Bido could become like a Dari Moretta type deal where like he's a slider fastball guy,
right.
But that slider is good enough to get outs for 1 inning. But that's all you need,
Exactly.
And so I respect Dari. It was kind of cringy when we're losing 7 straight games and he's posing on the mound. But I
love it.
I like his personality.
You need that guy. And I forget who I told this to. I think I was just talking to my buddies. They're Yankees fans. And I was like, you know what you want on your team? You want a couple of guys that are locker room guys, like a Santana, like a Moretta, who are they're gonna bring the energy. But then you also want guys like Henry Davis and Brian Reynolds, Brian Reynolds is in a slump right now. It's fine. But you want those kind of guys that have no personality other than wanting to be good at baseball.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good transition to start talking about the offense today.
Yeah, well, we can start with Brian Reynolds because I was going to say it drives me up a wall because I keep seeing this where like people say like he's checked out, he got the bag and stopped caring. Like he hasn't. Like
he Bucko Mike in the comments, by the
way. Well, we even mentioned Brian Hayes, so I think that's what summons him. But I agree. We're like, he busted out. It was a terrible hit. Like he didn't have any good hits today, but like he kept the inning alive by busting it out for the fielder's choice, which scored Gonzalez.
Yeah, Gonzalez and Andy was on second. Yeah.
And it was on second. And then he busts that out. He gets safe, and then the good stuff starts happening after that. Like he's making diving plays in left field. Like he made a really good catch in the 9th. Like he's not hitting well. And I think he's kind of a symptom of the entire offense. Like not only is like the collective team in the slump and like the mood around the team is just bad. And players are human. When things morale hits, the play is going to take a hit. But like to say he doesn't care, I think it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of what I mean when I put him in that group of Henry Davis. It's like he's probably the hardest on himself right now.
Oh yeah,
because he's a guy that you get him in an interview, he's going to tell you 2 words. He is thinking about ball all the time.
Yeah,
and we don't see a lot of personality. We don't see him get. I mean, we've seen him get angry, but he doesn't do it often.
No,
but he gets angry at himself, and that's. I think he needs to, like I said with Rich Hill, stop. Like Rich Hill shows it. Reynolds doesn't as much, but he needs to look inward, instead of, just getting angry, you have to evaluate.
Yeah.
And I hopefully this game jumpstarts him out of this slump, but
the whole team really, because 7 runs is such a stark contrast to what we've been doing. Like, I think everyone collectively is like, "Oh, it's 4-0. This game's over." We're like, zero confidence in this offense, but it worked, and I think that was kind of nice, and you can kind of see like a type of lineup where Ben Sherrington's kind of working toward. Where like, Nick Gonzalez had a really good game today. He was hitting, but then you're also getting hits from Ji-Man Choi, Henry Davis. Jerry Triola got him a couple times. Connor Joe got on. The guys like who have been here for a while were working with the new guys, and you were actually starting to see some sort of like offensive synergy, for lack of a better word. I don't know.
Yeah. Like that's really what it was. And I think, I mean, as weird as it is to say, I think Triolo has been the offensive spark plug because he's on a 12-game hitting streak. He had 2 hits and 2 RBIs today. If it wasn't for Choi getting that 1 hit, he would have led the team with RBIs today.
Yeah.
And it's not what anybody expected from Triolo. Triolo is supposed to be a defensive guy.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to look like maybe he's better than Cabrian Hayes. I mean,
I will not go.
I won't go that far,
yeah,
but
no, I did. Like, I
offensively,
think even the broadcast was talking about like his defense. Like he's not on Hayes' level,
right.
but whenever the ball goes anywhere in his general direction, like there's been multiple times, like over the past couple weeks of watching him, where like the ball will be like in shortstop range, and he's there gobbling up and throwing it the first. Like his range is really good.
Right.
You wish he hits for more power, I think. He's at like a 311 average and 712 OPS. Like, you would like to see some slug in there, but like I have no complaints. He's been great.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, when you have a guy that can get on base, you can't complain. It's when you have multiple guys around that person that can't get on base and can't advance runners.
Yeah.
But today they were able to string it together. Davis was able to get on. He had a hit and a walk. I think he played well today.
He just
there's
doesn't
some
belong
miscues in the
right
outfield, but
I think I talked about this yesterday. He just doesn't belong out there. Like,
no.
It's not his fault.
But he's an athlete, so you trust him out there. He's
he won't embarrass
mega athlete, so he's going to be able to do it. But he can't read the ball off that fence.
No.
I think you're probably better off putting him in left field because he doesn't have to deal with the bounce.
It's true, but do you think he's fast enough to like handle the vastness of left field? That would be my issue.
That's the tricky part. I agree. That's the tricky part.
PNC is a weird park.
Very,
very weird dimension. So I don't know what the best. I mean, I would just have him DH if I'm being completely honest. But we already have a bunch of DHs on the roster.
That's the tricky part.
But I also don't know why they're so opposed to letting McCutcheon right field.
At this point, I think it's just try and save him from himself.
Okay.
You put him out there, he might hurt himself. I mean, he just came off the IL. Probably just they aren't having him field because they're trying to preserve him for the lineup.
Okay.
So that's
I just know I know like defensive his speed's still there and he grades out pretty well defensively in right field. That's the only reason I suggest it. But like I
don't disagree with you. I just think it's a factor of being able to go to Kutch in an offensive position.
That's fair. And hopefully his elbow's all healed up because we kind of need him and he's been kind of miserable recently. Yeah. Which I guess makes sense. He's 37 years old. He wasn't going to be an 850 OPS player the entire year, but man, it would have been so nice.
I agree. It would have been great. And I didn't expect him to be any of that. I didn't expect him to be good this year.
No.
I just expected him to be a guy that Charrington brought in here to be like, hey, all you young guys, you want to be like him.
Yeah.
You want to be the guy that is able to come back here and everybody loves him. He was just supposed to be a figure.
Or be the leader, like be the guy, like, he's like, hey, this is how we did it when we won. When we were winning the ball team. And I don't know how much that's rubbed off. It seems like but I also think that like the entire coaching staff has kind of given up. So I think the players aren't dumb.
Right.
And
that's the unfortunate thing is when the guys at the top aren't caring as a player, it's just like any other workplace.
Yeah.
Like when my managers at work don't care, I'm like, why do I care?
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's 100%.
Just like us.
It's 100% true. Like, and I think like when losing has just become like so okay, like everyone's just okay with it. Like as someone, like I think I said this before, but like I defend Shelton, but like he is definitely too okay with the status quo. I think that's entirely fair.
Oh, well, he got that nice little extension. Why has he got to care?
And that's fair, but like it starts at the top too. Like Ben Sherrington, when you come on and say like, oh, we were a fourth place team because of projections, like you're 20-8 and you won't commit to saying that you're a good baseball team. Like players aren't stupid; they hear that and they don't understand. Like, oh, okay, well, why should I care? I'm making millions of dollars.
Right. I don't understand the logic of, oh, we're projected to be fourth anyway.
Yeah.
Like who in the right mind is like, well, we were supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
no,
not anymore.
You want to outperform
your
prediction.
Yeah.
Like,
and I remember everyone was so fired up over that Neil Huntington comment about running the simulations.
Yeah.
This is 1,000 times worse.
It's so much worse.
Like Neil was like, well, we're underperforming. We're not meeting what we like simulated and we thought we were going to do, and that's not okay. Ben Sherrington's like, oh, yeah, we're doing just fine.
Yeah, it's like, we're right where I thought we were.
Yeah, but it's so disappointing. But today was nice.
Yeah, no, today was a nice change of pace.
Even though we let Ahmed Rosario, who's probably the worst starting shortstop in baseball right now, own us this entire series.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
But I don't know. Jack Sawinski, we want to talk about him?
Yeah, let's talk about Jack. I'm a big Jack fan. I hate that he is so hot and cold.
Yeah.
But I think, kind of alluding to the Instagram story yesterday that I put out, he reminds me of Pedro Alvarez. Pedro would have a hot streak, then he'd have a cold streak.
Yeah.
Have a hot streak, then he'd have a cold streak. And I mean, I think that's fine if there's only one player that happens to.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sawinski's fine. It's just that he doesn't have a supporting cast that is consistent, I guess.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, Jack Sawinski's not even close to the worst problem on this team. No. And he got us a very clutch double, Yep. And you can see the talent there. But yeah, like I think I mentioned this with Denardo before. He is not someone who plays to the OPS.
Right.
Like he's always been hovering around like the 850 to 900 OPS, and he's just not that. He's not as valuable as that says it is. But I'm happy with him. I think he would be a very good right fielder for us for a very long time. And having potential 30 homer power on pre-ARB money, so he's making MLB minimum, that is something every team would want.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, he's a frustrating player, but I think he's good. And I think I saw someone say that he's Travis Snyder.
I mean,
I think
may have been a little better.
Yeah, I think he might be a little better, but yeah, it's not a bad comparison. Like he is a reliable, useful player. I just think it kind of highlights that when he's one of your better hitters, it shows that the real lack of star power that the team has at the moment.
Right, and I agree.
Especially with Cruz hurt and Reynolds being bad.
Right, and I agree. I think just having like he's not going to be expected to be the star in the future, and the stars of the future are now in the majors, and they're going to develop. Like this is what I feel like we've been talking about this for 2 years now. You have to have these guys in the majors if you want them to play major league ball and learn it. You're not going to learn how to play MLB baseball like in AAA.
No.
And I'm glad. That's why I'm glad that Sherrington, like, even if it was just kind of we're giving up, bring up the young guys. Even if it was that mentality, at least they're here and they're learning.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have guys like Henry Davis that are going to be the star of the team for this foreseeable future. You have a guy like Endy who could be that guy. He could be in that top 3 hitters for this team when it comes to a contact standpoint. But he just got here.
Yeah.
He's going to learn the game. It's going to take a while. He got his first hit today. Congratulations to him.
Yep.
And it was a bloop single. It kind of sucked, right? It's like if that was me, I'd be like, can I get a retry? Like,
you take it. It's kind of like when you're in like your softball league and like you really rear up and you're going to hit it really far and just kind of bloops into the field because the guy can't catch. So it's kind of something like that.
Like, man, I thought I really had that one.
Yeah. Yeah, he has not looked good. But at the very least, even though he hasn't looked good, like you've gotten serviceable play from Davis, Triolo, and I'll even extend it to someone who did well today, Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Even though I think mostly I've been impressed by Gonzalez's defense more than anything else.
Same. The play he had today, what inning was that? Was it the 4th or the 5th?
He was pretty early on. I think it was 4th or 5th, yeah.
That play was great. I mean, he didn't get the ball to first, which sucked, which is like, damn, like, come on, finish the play. But to be able to get there from where he was, it was phenomenal.
The range is great.
Yeah, to be able to hold that. I think he held a runner at 3rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they would have scored if that went to the outfield. And to be able to hold a runner at 3rd is fantastic.
And
like like I said, they're young. They got to learn, and he's going to get there.
The biggest news is that he got a hit off of a non-fastball today.
Yes, huge.
He got a hit off a curveball. Now it was like 74 miles an hour. Exit velocity is kind of a blooper, but
hit's a hit, right?
We
Unless
take
it's your
that.
first hit. I don't want to. I don't want to bloop first hit.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. But 2 for 3 for Gonzalez today. 1 RBI, 1 run. He also walked. Hit the ball hard twice. There is. I would like to see more power, I think.
Out of Gonzalez?
Yeah, out of Gonzalez. But, as a good playing defensive second baseman, and if you're holding like a 723 OPS, like that's a pretty decent player. I would say.
I mean, he was a guy, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like we only brought him up because it was like now or never, dude. He wasn't as great as we thought he was going to be coming out of his draft class. He floundered a bit in the minors, and he played well this year in AAA. But it was kind of like, all right, dude, we're going to give you this shot, and you better make the most of it. It's either crap or get off the pot type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was morely just that we had no middle infield when he was called up.
That too.
Yeah, like you can't trot out Castro and Marcano every single day. It just is in Bay. It's not going to work. So like, it's definitely out of like necessity. But I mean, the strikeout issues are still there. I think the biggest thing that worries me is that his walk rate is atrocious.
Yeah.
Like he was walking consistently at 14% or so in the minors. Like that's what he is. He has a good eye. Walking less than 3% of the time in the majors right now. All running similar strikeout rates.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly okay. Like you can live with a guy who lives like in that 28, 30% strikeout zone where he is, but you got to get on base.
Yep.
Like Jack Sawinski, for all his faults, because he strikes out a lot.
He still walks.
He gets on base. He walks a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting
Which was like that. That's why I can't get mad at Sawinski. Last year, he was doing exactly what Gonzalez is doing. He was swinging at everything, striking out. But you know what he did? He fixed it. He's getting walks. He's getting on base. And I can live with that.
Yeah,
and that was something that early on this year blew me away. I was like, wow, Sawinski's taking walks. So that's if Nick can get there, then I think he's in the same vein as Sawinski as being a middle of the road everyday starter.
Yeah, which every team needs. Like every team needs a Jack Sawinski like type player, or a Jared Triolo type player. But I think when this team is going to be good, you need to start seeing that star power, which we haven't seen yet. But it's been early. We haven't seen it from Henry Davis yet.
Not saying seen glimpses. Yeah, you've seen glimpses, but it's not like
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people, Jim, have touted him as being like almost Mike Trout-esque, and it's like he's not going to get there.
No,
but he's going to get you. He's going to get you a solid season.
Yeah, I think I even see him like becoming like a consistent like 800 OPS player, like giving you those 20 to 25 home runs, like almost kind of like a Brian Reynolds type hitter, I would even say. But he's not there yet. But that takes time. I'm not worried about him. But when you look up and down this rotation, like this lineup, Sawinski, you could play him every day, but he's not a star. Reynolds can be a star, but he's not there. Carlos Santana, I kind of go back and forth on.
I think he's a star. Strictly for me, based on his offense or defense. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
We haven't defense, had he is arguably in the running for a Gold Glove.
He's the best defensive first baseman in baseball right now.
Exactly.
I just don't want him batting fourth, I think, is where I'm at.
I agree. I'd want him fourth or fifth or sixth.
Yeah. G-Man Choi starter, Henry Davis starter, Triolo starter. Marcano needs to be sent down to AAA. Jury's still out on Nick Gonzalez. Jury's still out on Andy Rodriguez. Like I went through that. Like there's plenty of MLB capable players. But who is going to be the guy where you're 100% confident they're going to come in and get a hit or a home run?
I mean, I personally, right now, I feel like Davis is that guy. Sure, he's young. He hasn't done it, but he's the guy that's going to do it. I think, when it comes to the lineup that's put out every day, he's the guy that I'm like, especially when he bats third, I'm like, all right, he's going to get a hit. Like, he's going to extend this inning. But that's the only guy that I can say that for.
Mhm.
I feel like there was a point in time, specifically, I pointed it out last month when Santana was that guy. And he's just too old to be able to do that every week, every day, day
Mhm.
in, day out. So it's nice when he can do that, but you need a young guy that can do it. And I think
Mhm.
Davis is that guy. But there's only one on the roster right
But
now.
and
That's
like
him.
you're hoping you're integrating Cruz back into the picture soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would agree. Like Davis is that guy, and I mean when Santana's hot, he's hot, and he's always coming through in clutch situations. But he can't do it all the time. I don't think he's that guy anymore.
Nope.
Um, but I think we covered the game all right. Let's leave us with one last bit of news. Will Crow
News.
got DFA'd.
Dang. They gave him the rehab, and
Yeah.
then they're like, all right, get out of here.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
did the same with Swaggerty. So
At least according to John Heyman, he got DFA'd. So
all right. I mean, did we really expect Will Crow to come back and help this team?
no, I never wanted to see him pitch for us again.
Exactly.
You know, it definitely is kind of like rubbing the salt in the wound to see Josh Bell hit 2 home runs off of us this series.
Yeah.
But nope. R.I.P. Will Crow. Unless he doesn't get claimed, which is completely possible. Yeah. You know, like I don't know if anyone's really clamoring to have him be in a bullpen for a playoff team, but you know,
No.
let's see. Well, maybe Eddie Yin can become someone.
Who?
Eddie Yin, the other guy we got in the Josh Bell trade.
Oh, great. I'd final thoughts on this series. For some, like Josh Bell hasn't been here in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think he took this series like personally because I think it was on behalf of not just him. I think it was on behalf of him, Musgrove, and Tyon.
Yeah.
You know, the guys that they got traded for are now kind of here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, all right, like you waited this long to get them here. Now I'm going to show you why you should have kept me.
Yeah.
And he had 2 or 3 home runs this series, bunch of RBIs, bunch of hits.
Now
he just kind of went off.
To be fair, he's been awful this year.
Oh yeah, I'm not denying that. I think he just like wanted to take this one personally.
No, that's fair. I mean, and I would say that I think there are even rumors. Like I heard rumblings that both Adam Frazier and Josh Bell were interested in coming back this offseason.
I'm sure they were.
Which just kills me on the inside. Where like all these players, like if you talk to Joe Musgrove, he loved his time in Pittsburgh. But then they always say, well, the owner doesn't spend, so nothing happened here. But like they love playing here. They love living here. They even enjoy being on the team when things aren't going well.
Yeah.
And they want to come back. And there's just no care.
And I think it's because like every athlete loves to be part of an underdog story.
Yeah.
And that's why like they all just want to be here to be on that team that turns it around. And sometimes they're just not those guys. Like I don't think Tyon would have helped this team, honestly.
No.
Bell,
especially not on that money.
Right. And Bell, obviously, I don't think would have helped this team. The only one that did get dealt that could have helped this team that was going to cost you a lot of money was Joe Musgrove.
And see, I don't even think he's that much. Like I think his contract is a steal.
Right. Like, and he just got that extension.
Yeah, for the contract he got from the Padres is so good. For the value wise, that if we gave it to, because I think it was like 5 years, $100 million.
Yeah,
that would have been perfect for the Pirates.
I think I was more heartbroken when he signed the extension than when we traded him away.
Kind of knew he kind of knew it was over. Then he wasn't coming back.
Yeah, at that point I was like, yeah, he's a Padre for life now,
which is a shame.
Oh my God, we have our first comment of the day from the Jolly Roger report.
Get on the run after.
You got to lose a few pounds. Get on a run.
I had sheets today too. Clearly, I'm not eating well. So.
Oh, you had sheets? Oh, I've had sheets since the last time I was in Pittsburgh.
It's really bad just because the hot dog deal is just so good, such good value that I can't help
I
myself.
don't even care what deal they have. My go-to is I get a steak quesarito, and I just load that thing up. Those quesaritos, have you ever had one?
I have not.
They're as big as a newborn child.
Okay.
And it is, when you're on a road trip, I eat half of it when I get it, and then the other half when I'm almost home, you know?
Yeah, and see, I know it's going to be heresy being on a Pittsburgh podcast, but in terms of road food, nothing like hits the spot more than the Wawa hoagie. I'm sorry. That's
Get
so
out of
good.
here. No, I could use my mouse right now. I would kick you out of here. I live in Wawa country now, and I hate it. I hate everything about it.
See, I where I live, I have Wawas and Sheets, so I don't have to choose. I get both. It's the best.
I have Wawa, and then we have Quick Check. And I like Quick Check better than Wawa. A Quick Check Philly cheesesteak is great.
A Wawa Philly cheesesteak hits the spot, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Hearing you say Wawa is above Sheets is just blasphemous on these airwaves. That's all I gotta say.
Well, if this is my last show because of that opinion, it's been a fun ride.
Who would have thought that would have been like we've restrained ourselves from arguing over Shelton, but you liking Wawa crossed the line. Oh man,
that's too good. Well, we've been on here for a while.
Yeah,
and I think we stopped talking about the show. So let's get out of here.
All right, see you, folks.
See you, folks. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Cody, for joining us late. And let's go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.